Hello, you boring lot. Today, I wanted to do a very quick video about Odegaard and Eze. Can they inspire us to glory? Now, I know some of you have already made a choice on this. However, I'm going to stick my stall out, put it out there, and see what you think. So, our game against Man City at the weekend, we lost 2-1. It was disappointing, but I did finish that game and leave that game feeling a little bit more hopeful. Not necessarily in terms of the title race, but more about just the way that Arsenal were going to play between now and the end of the season. It was our best game this year by far, despite the loss. You know, Arsenal were linking up play better. They were looking better on the ball, and most importantly, they were looking more dangerous. There were some big moments in the game that I feel like could have led the game to go either way. There was 2 red card shouts, one for Kushnerov, one for Gabriel. I think Gabriel's was more likely. Arsenal hit the post a couple of times, and Havertz had 2 opportunities that on another day he may have put away. So I think with all that being put into context, you know, in a different game, Arsenal might come away with the 3 there. So I think that's something for us to kind of acknowledge, irrespective of your opinion about Arsenal's chances for the league this year. But in this game, we got to see Odegaard and Eze together. And it's something that we've been crying for all season. And this is what they look like at City. We had Raya, Mosquera, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Zubimendi and Rice, Madueke, Odegaard, Eze and Havertz up front. And this team and this setup worked way better than Arsenal did when they played Man City at the Carabao Cup. Arsenal were unable to deal with the high line that Man City played against them in the Carabao Cup final, to the point where we were dwindling the ball around our defenders. In this game, we were able to create a dynamic which meant we could flood the midfield more effectively, and that meant that we were more competitive on the ball, and it meant that we had more opportunities at scoring goals. And they did come through the middle. A lot of those opportunities came through the middle. Eze's post, hitting the post, came through the middle. The through ball that Odegaard played to Havertz came through the middle. And although the ball came in from across, Havertz had a chance to header in the middle of the goal. So, you know, I think that there were some positives in the way that Arsenal played when you had Eze and Odegaard in the team together. With that being said, I think it would be interesting to look at what our best 11 might be from this position. So this is what I think our best 11 will look like: a complete change on the right side. We have Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Calafiori, because I think they offer different things, Zubimendi, Rice, Saka, Odegaard, Eze, Havertz. And when you look at the team like this, you can see just how much stronger they are going to be when our right side is fit and able to play again. You know, Arsenal were playing very much their second string midfielder and our third string right back in this game against the Man City team that had been in really good form over the past 5 games. And Arsenal still made a really, really good and strong game of it. So I think that when you put that into perspective, there's lots to be hopeful for should these players return before the end of the season. And in terms of the build-up for that, when you look at them from attacking perspective, this is what the team would look like. And you're going to have Raya. So this is when the team are pressing now with the ball. You're almost going to revert to a 3 where you're going to have Timber, Saliba and Gabriel, Zubimendi and Rice covering, but then Hincapié comes right up on the left wing, which allows Eze to invert. And then you're almost playing with 2 10s or a shadow striker behind Havertz. And I just think that makes it so much more difficult for the defending team to cope with, because these are skillful players and they are capable of hurting you, especially when you've got someone like Eze, who is a bit of a maverick. I also think this might be one of the reasons why we have seen MLS less this season. Now, I'm an MLS fan. I want to see Skelly playing more football. However, I do think that this might be part of the reason why we have seen him less, because when we've been playing, we've been trying to overload on the left, and that's meant that you've got Rice and Zubimendi sitting in the double pivot, and that's where you would want him to play if he was inverting as the left back, and that simply isn't happening. However, with Eze and Odegaard, I do think that we have something that we can be hopeful for. They can be, if we're using Top Gun as our reference here, or Top Gunners if you like, we have got our Iceman in Odegaard, we've got our Maverick in Eze, and if you really want to put Havertz in, he can be Goose, right? But we've got players here who have the ability to help us in the remaining fixtures of this season. And if I'm being honest, with the way that we played against City, and if we can have the lineup remain the same, or include the likes of Saka and Timber as soon as possible, I genuinely think that we can go on and win our remaining 5 fixtures in the Premier League. I don't know if that means a Premier League title, but I do think we can win the next 5. But we have to be brave. These are not easy fixtures, and these are teams that we have slipped up against in the past. So Newcastle at home, Fulham at home, we should be winning both of those games. Newcastle particularly are in bad form, and they haven't won any of their last 4. West Ham are in a relegation battle, and we are going to be in a way, but it could also be, we don't know what the next 3 fixtures are going to look like for City either. So it could be a pivotal game for us too. Finishing with Burnley, we should be taking 3 points there, no question, and really improving our goal difference. And then against Palace on the final game of the season, again, which could be a worry for us. But that depends on if they get far into the in Europe, because that means they might need to, they might be looking at resting players if they have a final to play. So I think there's lots to consider there. Will it be enough to win the league? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I hope so. But Man City are in great form, and you have to look at them as the favourites, despite what the Opta computers are telling you, because they're only working out on percentages, aren't they? The final remaining thing here is Odegaard's future might be away from the club, and there'll be a lot of fans who are excited about that, right? But for right now, we need Odegaard fit and playing, because he is the best option we have in midfield alongside Eze. He does the kind of the other work, the pressing work, the control work, and then you have Eze doing the maverick work. And together, they worked well on Sunday against a team that's the best team in the Premier League right now, or the best performing team in the Premier League right now. And they did a really good job against them. And I think teams like Newcastle, Fulham, West Ham, Palace and Burnley will struggle to cope with that if we can keep them fit for the remaining fixtures in this season. I know some of this is a little bit out there. I would really be interested to see what you think. So please hit me up in the comments. And as always, like, subscribe, up the Gunners.